Welcome to IlliniGuys Halftime Live. This is Mike Kegley. And that was an interesting half, folks. You see what you get when you are on the road in the Big Ten. And there's a reason why these teams have such a good home record when you win the title. You got a good team, and you get some interesting calls that many times go in favor of the home team. So let's take a look at the key stats categories. We're looking at the Illini. 36 points, tied with Michigan State. Michigan and of course Illinois shot. They shot 38% from the field. Michigan State shot 45% from the field. Illinois shot 25% from the three. Michigan State was at 17. And where you saw probably the biggest disparity is Illinois was called for quite a few fouls there in the first half. You saw the Illini with 10 personal fouls, the Spartans with 6, and you also saw the Illini shooting 5 free throws and the Spartans shooting 14. So you get the team. One team is getting more fouls called, and I'm not certain, to be honest with you. I think they're different types of fouls. I do find it disappointing that you are allowed to do the moving pick at the top of the offense all the time consistently by Michigan State with the lean in or the roll, and that is something that is Illinois doesn't do. Either they don't do it as much or as well because, but we're not seeing it. Maybe Coach Underwood needs to start coaching that way. The Illini, I thought, really did a nice job on the boards. They were up by 8 rebounds. That was critical, and I think that's where you're looking at some opportunities. Illinois with 11 offensive boards. That's really what kept them in the game. And of course, the other stat that I talked about was fouls, and I mentioned 3 players. You had obviously. You've got what's going on with KJ and with the fouls. Let's hope he can put together a 16 or 17 point half. And let's say that Will Riley stays hot. That would be very nice. Of course, the big story right now, Will Riley with 16 points, also with 4 rebounds and an assist. And what I thought was really nice, only 1 turnover. So that gets you at a significantly, a good place. You had right now, you've got Morez, and we obviously have Kasparis at 2 fouls right now. You could argue the refs are keeping Michigan State in the game. I was frustrated just from the standpoint of I thought a few fouls were late, as if they were waiting to see if the shot was made, and I didn't think that was best. And we had the one time at about I believe the 6-minute mark, you had Aiken jump up in the air in the lane and fall down, and Ivisic was the closest guy to him, so he gets a foul called for standing next to a guy who jumps and falls. And I do think that's something that Illinois you just have to play through. There's really no way about it. But to my eyes, the offense got a little bit stagnant at the end of the half, where they were playing catch at 20 feet, and that you will end up paying pretty much there. Now, a couple things that, as I look at, and Brad Sturdy was not able to be here, and I think Ked was exiting the hospital, so we won't have those guys on board. But a couple things that they wanted to hit me with that I could bring up to folks. First off is Trey White, who had played really, really well and then struggled against USC, and you're looking for him to get back on track. He was 0 for 1, and with smaller guards out there, it would be nice to use his height and length to grab an advantage, and we didn't see him able to do that. It would be good to see a good second half out of Trey White. I think he got 3 rebounds, but he can do more and get more involved. I thought also, when we look at it, Kylan Boswell forced the issue on a few of his shots. And I think there was a couple times where he had the dump off pass available to him. And just remember that when Riley's on a heater, you don't necessarily have to score. You've just got to distribute the ball and keep things to where you have an opportunity to get the open man. And I think that was a big one. And again, having having Kasparis out there for really, I think he only played 4 minutes of the first half. So that puts the Illini at a big deficit. At the same time, you keep thinking, okay, with Yakuchionis out there in the second half, maybe we'll see one of those big halves out of him that will give an opportunity to the Illini, which will open up other players. I think that is probably one of the big things looking for. And as you look at the team, overall, you basically say that they're holding Michigan State to 44.8% shooting, 16% from the 3-point line, and holding them to 17 rebounds, of which 4 of them are offensive rebounds. You got to like that, but ultimately you have to keep yourself in position to where you're not putting them on the line. And that's a hard one to say when you got to see how the refs are calling things. And I think in the biggest thing right now is you have to find a way to get KJ involved without some fouls. And I think ultimately with Izzo yelling and stuff, I'm sure they're gonna take the ball right at KJ to start off as things go. Now I know that Riley decided to go ISO. I don't know if he took a couple I wouldn't have. I didn't think it was as bad as some days. And when you feel it, you also have to be able to let your guys, go after the shots when they're feeling good about it. Now Brad is going to be in the locker room, probably saying, "Okay, now we gotta go back to normal, and look for your teammates and play within yourself." I think that's one of the biggest things is you play within yourself on this. And I do know, if they're going to defend that far, the back door should be open at times. And so, you fake the cut, out, fake the pass out, throw in. There's a lot of things about basketball that just aren't super advanced, that you just try to decide what they want to take away and then go ahead and you give up something when you try to take something away, and you try to go after that opportunity. And I know, I saw a couple times out there when Ben did go booty ball. And I also thought there was one time he took a shot. I thought he had some openings to dish it off as well. But I do kind of like to see this part of it, because it's just yet another guy that teams are going to have to guard. And that is a huge, huge factor. And we will see, the second half, if Trey White and Jacusionis play well, those will be exactly what you would like to see in terms of getting the Illini offense. That's what you need. And if Yakuchionis is able to get those additional shots up in the second half, that gives a ton of opportunities for everyone else. And again, Trey White, at his size, 6'6", 6'7", he has the opportunity that he can go up against smaller defenders, and he's got to be cognizant of that. I think he used that very well on the boards a couple times, but it would be nice to use that position, get inside on somebody and then take it to the hoop, force a foul call, if somebody has to come over and help, or get it to the man that the defender leaves. That is really, some of this stuff is not, again, it's not rocket science in that. And like I said, right now, I think one of the X factors, and Ked talked about this in the pregame, was that Kylan Boswell is good friends with the Fears family, and there may be some competitive fire there where they're trying to go back and forth. I mean, that they're kids. The bottom line is, and I would just tell Kylan to play within himself. He doesn't need to be a scorer, at least right now. And so if you have the opportunity to dish. And he also got caught in a couple bad positions. One of the block shots that he had where he was kind of moving to his from his left to his right. It was just a matter of where his feet were when he went up, and there was some jostling going on, and he ended up having to jump off the wrong foot. And so when that shot got blocked, that was not particularly a shock or a surprise. Sometimes you get caught like that and you just don't have the opportunity. That's when you need to go after the assist. And again, the frustration is that you're going to have is that you're going to have calls that go against you. Us being Illini fans, we're going to notice the ones that go against us. Probably won't notice the ones that go against Michigan State. So you start thinking it's relatively one-sided game. I do think it's been a little bit more in the favor of Michigan State. Not as bad as I had thought, other than the fact that when you pop 2 fouls on Jakusionis right at the beginning, then you really put Illinois into a rough spot. And you can't really do that to Michigan State because they don't have anybody that good. So even if you double up fouls on just about anybody there, Aiken, it's not a huge deal because there's not one of their guys that can pull the load that KJ does. I think, and Ked definitely feeling better. So we appreciate that. And like I said, he's the hardest working guy on the beat. Not many other people would be doing a video podcast from their hotel room. So you got to give Ked credit, man. The guy just doesn't stop. Points in the lane is an interesting one. Illinois, right now they're up 24-16 in the paint, and that has been a nice advantage. Can they keep that advantage will be a key in the second half. And Illinois has to find a way. The one thing that I found frustrating, just because it doesn't work at any level of basketball anymore, is when you cut down the lane and then go away from the basket when you're shooting, you're literally not going to get that call at any point in time. And I know Boswell's not the tallest guy in the world, and they got help defenders coming over at him. But at that point, I'm almost to the thought process of I'm just going to jump into a guy as opposed to jumping away and see if I can get the foul that way, as opposed to going down the lane and letting them swat it or worse, if it starts a fast break the other direction. I do think, it was really an interesting half because Michigan State scores a ton. I think it was 19 points a game on fast break points. Illinois held them to 3 in the first half. So Illinois did what they wanted there. They also won the rebounding. A couple things they didn't do. They didn't shoot the threes at the level you would like to see, and they didn't shoot from the floor at the level you would like to see. And then obviously the foul trouble. So going into the half, you're gonna want to work on getting better shots, continue to get those better shots. And you're gonna not want to give up anything on the rebounding side. If you have a bad half of rebounding, this game could really sway away from the Illini. So they have to keep that intensity up and keep them in a position where they're constantly pressuring. And a lot of that has to do with spacing. Illinois did a pretty good job with their spacing. Again, towards the about 15 minutes, about 5 minutes left in the half, they got to playing a lot of passing the ball around and back. And you have to be able to have movement, which allows a score. People talked about backdoor, et cetera. That is definitely something that needs to be done. So at this point, folks, we are just about to go back out to the game live. So I'm going to let you go. We will be back at the end of the game with Ked, Brad, and myself please join us as we will be doing the Eye on the Illini post-game show immediately after the game is over. We may have to take a minute or two emotionally, depending on how things go. But let's hope that the Illini pull this out in a game that we knew was going to be tough, and it is exactly what we thought. Until we see you again, go Illini.